Hey everyone, welcome back to Reddit Realms, your quiet corner of the internet where you can pause, breathe, and just listen. Whatever kind of day you've had, you can leave it behind for now. This is your time to unwind with some of the most intriguing Reddit stories out there. And if you're new here, welcome. I read real Reddit stories every day, from the relatable to the downright unbelievable. Don't forget to drop a comment and tell me where you're tuning in from. I love seeing how far the realms reach. Now, let's get comfortable and dive right in. 29 MEs, caught my dad living a double life. And I don't know who he really is anymore. I always thought my dad was the definition of ordinary. Not in a bad way, just in the quiet, reliable way that makes you think nothing really surprising could ever come from him. He's an accountant, always has been. Drives a beige Corolla, wears the same 2 pairs of jeans until they physically disintegrate, and thinks flavored coffee is pretentious. My parents have been married for 33 years. They still hold hands when they walk through grocery stores. Or at least, that's what I thought. A few weeks ago, I went home for the weekend to help him clean out the attic while my mum was visiting her sister in Florida. It was supposed to be a normal, boring Saturday, me sneezing through dusty boxes while Dad grumbled about how people keep too much junk. We went through the usual family artifacts, old tax returns, my high school trophies, the world's ugliest Christmas decorations. Then, under a stack of newspapers from the 90s, we found a sealed manila envelope labeled in black marker, J. King. I asked, "Who's that?" He said, a little too fast, "Just old paperwork." I could tell from his tone he didn't want me to open it, which of course made me open it immediately. Inside was a driver's license for a man named Jonathan King. Same face as my dad, but 10 years younger. Different hair, fake address. There was also a debit card, a few folded up hotel receipts from cities my dad's business trips used to line up with, and one photo. In the photo, my dad was standing next to a woman I'd never seen before. They looked happy. Like, couple happy. She was holding his arm, both smiling at the camera. No wedding ring on his hand. I remember going cold all over. I asked, "Dad, what is this?" He reached for the envelope and said, "It's nothing. Give it to me." When I didn't, he raised his voice, louder than I've ever heard from him. I said, "Give it to me." That moment scared me more than the envelope itself. My dad doesn't yell. He's the type who sighs in disappointment, not shouts. But his face changed, like the mask slipped for a second. That night, we barely spoke. He watched TV in total silence, and I sat in my old bedroom feeling like the floor had shifted under me. The next day, he acted like nothing happened. Made breakfast, read the paper. Morning, bud. Like everything was fine. I almost convinced myself it was nothing, until curiosity got the better of me. While he was in the shower, I checked his office downstairs. I didn't find more IDs, but I found a credit card statement under his desk blotter. There were multiple charges from a hotel in Ohio, dated from just last month. He told my mom that trip was for a regional audit. I texted the hotel's name to myself and Googled it later. It's a small place off the interstate, one that rents long-term rooms. So this isn't ancient history. He's still doing it. When I confronted him again that night, I said, "Who is Jonathan King?" He went pale. Then he said, "You don't understand." I told him, "Then make me understand." He rubbed his face like he aged 10 years in one breath and said, "I made mistakes. A long time ago. Things got complicated." That was it. No explanation, no apology. Just deflection. I asked if Mum knew. He said, "Your mother doesn't need to get hurt by old choices." I said, "It's not old if you're still doing it." He looked at me like I'd betrayed him, like I was the problem for asking. Since then, he's been quiet, polite, robotic, calls me by my name instead of kiddo. My mum came back from Florida and said she's worried about him being distant lately. I can't even look her in the eye. I want to tell her, but I don't even know what I'd be telling her. Your husband might be a completely different person. Your whole marriage might be built on a fake name. Every time I try to bring it up, my throat locks. I keep replaying every family memory. Vacations, birthdays, the stupid inside jokes about burnt pancakes, wondering which version of him I was with at that moment. Peter or Jonathan. I found a second envelope today, hidden in his desk, plane ticket stub from 2014, 2 movie tickets from New Orleans. and a key to a storage unit in another city. I didn't open it yet, I just put it back. I don't know if I'm scared of what I'll find or scared that I already know. That's not a mistake. That's a second life. I'd check that storage unit before he destroys evidence. He probably has another family. The Jonathan King alias isn't random. That's an identity he's maintained for years. If you tell your mum, prepare for fallout. But she deserves to know. Living a lie isn't kindness. My father did the same. Turns out he was married twice. My mother never recovered from it. Be gentle with yours. It's complicated. I know exactly what I'm doing and I don't want to be caught. Some people spend their lives running from the truth. Others go so far as to bury it, 6 feet under. Our next story starts with a man who faked his own death and what happened when someone from his past recognized him in a grocery store aisle 10 years later. 10 years ago, I faked my own death. Last week, someone recognized me in a grocery store. I never meant to hurt anyone. I know that sounds like the first line of a liar's confession, but it's true. When I disappeared, it wasn't for revenge or insurance or any of that movie bullshit. I just wanted out. I was 27 when I died. At the time, I was living in a small town in Arizona, working as an auto mechanic. I was drowning in debt, drinking too much, and stuck in a relationship that felt like a slow-motion car crash. Every day felt like wading through glue. One night, after too many beers, I just decided I couldn't do it anymore. Not in the suicidal sense, though I did think about that too, but in the sense that I wanted to erase everything. I drove out to a hiking trail 2 hours away, left my truck near a steep bridge, tossed some of my stuff down into the canyon, and walked until my phone lost signal. I kept walking until my legs gave out. A week later, they found the truck and the scattered belongings. No body, just signs of a fall. They assumed I'd gone over. The search was small. I wasn't exactly a headline-worthy person. Within a month, I was declared missing, presumed dead. I crossed the border into Mexico with what little cash I had left, and a new name I made up in the back of a bus, Daniel Ruiz. I stayed there for a year, working odd jobs, learning enough Spanish to get by. I never looked back, not once. I thought about my ex, my family, the few friends I'd had, but I figured it was easier for them to grieve a ghost than deal with the version of me I was then. After a few years, I came back to the US, got fake papers, and moved around under different names. Kept my head down. I got sober. I met someone. Her name's Ava. She knows almost everything. Not the fake death part, but that I left my old life behind. I told her I was escaping an abusive family, which isn't entirely untrue. We've been together 5 years. We just moved to Oregon. Then last week, it all came crashing down. I was in line at a grocery store, half asleep, when I heard someone behind me say, "Ethan?" My old name. I froze. When I turned around, it was Mark, my old co-worker. He looked older, beard streaked with grey, but his eyes went wide the moment he saw me. He said my name again, louder this time. I shook my head and said, "Sorry, you've got the wrong guy." My voice cracked halfway through. He stepped closer. "Ethan, what the hell? We thought you were dead." I left my cart and walked out of the store. Didn't even look back. I could hear him shouting after me. That night I didn't sleep. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I kept expecting cops or reporters to show up at my door. But it's been a week and nothing. Not yet. Ava noticed immediately that something was off. I told her I ran into someone from my old life, the one I said I escaped. And she's been giving me space, but I can tell she's worried. I don't know what to do. I can't go back to that version of me. I'm not the same person anymore. But what do you even do when the life you buried 10 years ago starts clawing its way back up? Part of me thinks I should come clean, to Ava, to everyone. But another part knows it would destroy everything I've built. I've worked so damn hard to be good, to be normal. Still, sometimes I dream that I'm standing at that canyon again. Except now, instead of jumping, I'm being dragged back up by all the ghosts I left behind. I don't know which version of me deserves to keep living. Update, 5 days later. I guess this is what guilt feels like when it finally catches up. After I posted, I couldn't stop checking the news, half expecting to see my name in a headline. Nothing. But then yesterday I got a message on Facebook, an old, half-forgotten account, one I hadn't logged into since 2013. The message was from Mark. It said, "I don't know what happened to you, but I won't tell anyone. Just know that your mum still sets a plate for you every Christmas. She never stopped looking. I didn't even know she was still alive. I cried harder than I have in years, like full-body, ugly crying, the kind where you can't breathe. Ava found me like that and finally made me tell her the truth. Everything. The canyon, the fake death, the new name. She didn't yell, didn't leave. She just sat there and listened. After a while, she said, 'If you really want to start over, you have to stop pretending this version of you is real.' She's right. So I wrote a letter to my mum. Didn't sign it. Just wrote, 'I'm alive. I'm sorry. I needed to disappear. Please don't look for me.' I mailed it yesterday. No return address. I don't know if it was cowardly or kind, maybe both. But for the first time in 10 years, I feel lighter. Like maybe I don't have to keep running. Maybe ghosts don't need graves. They just need to be acknowledged." I've read a lot of confessions on here, but this one actually gave me chills. I hope you find peace, man. You didn't fake your death to hurt people. You did it because you were drowning. It's tragic, not evil. I can't imagine your mom setting a plate for you every Christmas. That broke me. Please tell Ava everything, even the parts that make you look bad. You can't build a new life on half-truths. Ghosts don't need graves. That line hit me hard. Maybe it's time you stop being one. Some people disappear because they want freedom. Others disappear because they don't want to be found. Our next story starts with a woman who vanished for just one night and came back to find her husband acting like she'd been gone for weeks. I, 33F, disappeared for one night. When I came home, my husband acted like I'd been gone for weeks. I didn't vanish in a dramatic way. There was no mystery, no scandal. I told my husband I was going to stay at my sister's overnight because I'd had a rough week at work and I needed a reset. I packed a tote, grabbed my slippers, and left around 7 p.m. on a Friday. My sister lives 40 minutes away. We ate leftover lasagna, watched 2.5 episodes of a crime show where everyone whispers, and fell asleep on the couch like teenagers. In the morning, we made cinnamon toast and she sent me home with a bag of oranges from her neighbor's tree. It was a nice, normal night. I got back home at 10:12 a.m. Saturday. I remember the exact time because my car has the little dashboard clock and I was doing that thing where you try to beat the red light to make the number change. I walked in, kicked off my shoes, and called "Hey," the way you do when you expect to hear the TV or a person answer back. Instead, my husband, Adam, 35M, came out of the bedroom white-faced like he'd seen a ghost. He said, "Where have you been?" The way he said it made me laugh at first. I lifted the oranges like a peace offering and said, "At Nora's, I told you." He didn't smile, he just stared. He looked older, not like bad sleep older, but like he'd been living under fluorescent lights for a long time. Stubble too long, little tremor in his hands. I said, "Are you okay?" He said, very quietly, "You were gone for 12 days. I thought he was joking. He wasn't. He started pulling out his phone, scrolling with frantic fingers, shoving screen after screen at me. Calls, texts. "Are you okay? Please call me. I'm worried." A photo of a missing person flyer he'd apparently made on Canva. My face, my favorite sweater. Date listed as the night I left. There were emails to my boss, to my sister, who didn't answer because she was at a camping thing with no service. To 3 of my friends, my stomach did a weird elevator drop. I grabbed his phone, checked the timestamps, checked our calendar, checked my own phone. Everything on his phone said I'd been gone for 12 days. Everything on mine said I was gone one night. I had a single Uber receipt from Friday 7:41 p.m. to Nora's neighborhood. A Grubhub receipt for lasagna. We reheated someone else's leftovers after, for the record. And a Google Maps location history that showed a sloppy little dot at my sister's for exactly one night. I called Nora, straight to voicemail. She later said her phone died and she didn't plug it in for a while. I told Adam, "This is nuts. I left last night. We watched TV. I slept on the couch." He shook his head and said he'd filed a police report on Wednesday. He showed me the email confirmation. He told me he'd called my parents. He told me he hadn't slept more than 2 hours a night because every time he closed his eyes, he heard the garage door and thought I was back. His face crumpled while he talked, and I felt like the smallest person alive, even though I honestly didn't understand what the hell was happening. I tried to match the days in my head. Had I missed a meeting? Did I skip a bill payment? Was he pranking me? I pulled out my planner. Yes, I'm a paper planner person. And there were notes from the week. Monday, submit Q3 revisions. Tuesday, 10 a.m. stand-up. Wednesday, Mum's dentist reminder. Friday, Nora's overnight. It was all there. He asked for my phone. He checked the date and time and location, and did that thing where you look from one device to another like they might suddenly confess to lying. He finally sat down and said, "You were gone for 12 days. And then softer, "You were gone." I started crying. Not because I was scared, but because the look on his face scared me in a way I can't explain. He wasn't angry. He was hollow, like he'd used up all his anger already. We spent hours like that. Me insisting on one night, him insisting on 12 days. We compared clocks, all synced. We checked bank charges. His showed dozens of DoorDash orders he said he barely ate. Mine showed the Uber and Grubhub from Friday, a gas station coffee Saturday 9:31 a.m. I even had the oranges. The oranges were real. Finally he said, "I called your boss. She said you haven't been at work for 2 weeks. I called my boss. She didn't answer. I called our HR. Voicemail. It was Saturday, but still. The silence made everything louder. At 3 p.m, my sister texted me back. "Phone died. Sorry. Love you. You got home okay?" I showed Adam. He didn't look relieved. He looked like a person watching an alibi being stitched together too neatly. He said, "I don't want to fight. I'm glad you're home." He stood up, hugged me like I was breakable, then went to take a shower. He stayed in there forever. The sound of the water felt like proof that time was behaving itself again. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay there cataloguing proof of one night. What we watched, whisper show episode where someone finds a fingernail in a drain, the cinnamon toast, the oranges, the tiny burn on my finger from touching the pan too soon. I kept thinking, if I'd actually been gone for 12 days, wouldn't I feel it? Wouldn't there be a gap, hunger, a bad smell, something? Sunday morning, Adam made coffee and said he didn't want to talk about it anymore, but his hands still shook. He watched me like I was a TV channel that might go fuzzy again. When I went to take out the trash, I found the missing person flyers in the bin, 12 of them, wrinkled and ink smudged. He'd used our wedding photo. I had to sit down on the garage step because my knees suddenly didn't know their job. On Monday, I went to work ready to do the normal world thing. Like if I kept the engine running, the weirdness would blow out the tailpipe. My desk plant was dead. My coworker hugged me so hard my earring caught her sweater, and she didn't even notice. My boss cried. She said she'd filed a wellness check. The cops had come by the apartment on Thursday. Adam told them I was a night person, and sometimes I took long walks. Everyone insisted I'd been gone for 2 weeks, but my body remembered sleep on my sister's couch. My teeth remembered cinnamon sugar grit. My finger remembered the pan burn. My phone remembered Friday night to Saturday morning. There's a version of this story where I decide I'm the crazy one and acquiesce. I can't. The inside of my head has the certainty of a calendar square. I was gone one night. The rest feels like a magic trick done badly, like you can still see the wire if you squint. The worst part wasn't the argument about time. The worst part came 2 nights later. I woke up at 2:13 a.m. to the smell of oranges. Not the bag. This was sharper, mechanical somehow, like a cleaner pretending to be citrus. The hallway light was on. Adam wasn't in bed. I padded out to the living room and found him sitting on the floor in front of the couch, knees drawn up, the TV black, the room lit that ugly midnight yellow. He was holding my tote bag, the one I took to Nora's. He looked up at me and said, flat as a reading, "This bag has receipts from 11 days I don't remember." I laughed because that's what my brain does when it can't compute. It has one receipt, the Uber. He turned the bag upside down. Slips skittered out across the floor. Gas stations I don't go to. Little diners in towns I don't recognize. A motel in a desert I haven't seen. Dates spanning 12 days. All with my card, all with my name. I swear to you I had never seen them before. I sat down on the floor like someone unplugged my legs. I picked up the motel one. It was stamped with a room number and a smiley face in a red pen. My name in all caps. Checkout. Saturday 10:04 a.m. I got home at 10:12. Where did you get these? I asked. They were in your bag, he said. Bottom pocket. I didn't put them there. I didn't go to those places, but I could see my signature, loose and lazy the way it gets when I'm tired. We didn't sleep the rest of the night. We lined up the receipts like tiles. He told me about the 12 days, the cops, the flyers, the voicemail he left on my mom's phone where he couldn't get through the sentence. He told me he wore my hoodie because it smelled like me. He told me he checked hospitals. He told me he started thinking that the last thing he said to me before I left, a joke about the crime show, whispering being contagious, would be the last thing he ever said to me, period. I told him about my one night at Nora's. I described the fingernail in the drain scene and the way the actress said sorry, like it was the only English word she knew. I told him about the cinnamon toast and the burn and the oranges. Saying it out loud felt like writing a spell I didn't know how to finish. He asked if I'd taken anything, if I'd blacked out, if I'd wandered. I don't drink. I haven't in 2 years. I take an SSRI and magnesium and that's it. My therapist says I dissociate sometimes under stress, but I don't lose time. Not like that. When morning came, the living room looked like a conspiracy corkboard minus the red string. We were polite at work. We were careful at dinner. We were strangers in bed. I could feel him monitoring the weight of me beside him, like he was making sure gravity still worked. It's been a week. If you asked me to testify, I would swear on anything you want that I was gone one night. If you asked my husband, he would say 12 days and start to cry in a way he tries to hide. If you asked my planner, it would back me up. If you asked the receipts on our coffee table, they would back him up. I don't know what to believe. I don't know if it matters what I believe. I just know that our life has a wrinkle in it now that won't iron out. I know that when I open the fridge and smell oranges, my hands start to shake. I know that sometimes Adam reaches for me like he's checking whether I'm solid. I feel solid. I look solid. But there's a part of me that's convinced I left, came back, and some other version of me kept going. A version that likes motels and orange cleaner and signing a tired version of my name. Or maybe I'm the other version. Maybe the real me kept walking. I keep the receipts in a Ziploc bag. I don't know why that makes me feel better. Proof should be reassuring. It isn't. It just sits there. Paper fossils of a week I didn't live. I haven't told my therapist yet. I don't know how to say, I was gone and I wasn't. How do you say, my marriage is haunted by days neither of us can return, without sounding like you're trying out a line from a bad novel? I asked Adam what he wants me to do. He said, promise you'll tell me if you ever decide to leave again. I said, I didn't decide. He said, promise anyway. I promised. And then I dreamed that night of standing in a motel bathroom, peel of orange on the sink, mirror fogged, and someone in the next room whispering lines from our crime show in that barely there voice. I woke up with the taste of cinnamon in my mouth and the sharp, fake citrus in my nose. I don't know which part of that is the nightmare, that maybe I was there or that maybe I wasn't, and the world is learning to lie to me in creative new ways. All I know is I left for one night. And when I came home, my husband had learned how to live without me. This reads like grief and gaslighting collided. Not saying he's lying, saying the world is. Keep copies of everything, separate box, photograph each item with timestamps. I had a dissociative episode once and lost 4 days. Everyone swore I was at work the whole time. My texts prove I wasn't. The brain is a weird, terrible archivist. Check bank logs directly with your bank, not screenshots. Ask for merchant copies of the signed receipts. If the signature is scanned, you might be able to see if it's a reused image. The orange smell is freaking me out. Hotels use citrus enzyme cleaners. That might be your nose remembering what your brain won't. Don't ignore the missing person flyers, even if you know it was one night. Honor what he lived through. Grief on one side, confusion on the other. That will eat a marriage if you both don't name it. Some people lose time. Others lose trust. Our next story asks what happens when you lose both, because you catch your own face in a stranger's wedding album, and they swear you were there, laughing, the night your grandfather died. I, 28F, found a photo of myself at a stranger's wedding. taken on the night my grandfather died. When my grandfather passed away in 2019, it wasn't unexpected. He'd been sick for a long time. It was one of those slow, exhausting illnesses where everyone starts grieving months before the actual goodbye. I was there when he died, or at least I thought I was. I remember that night clearly. It was raining hard, like the world was trying to wash the air clean. My mum, my uncle and I were sitting by Grandpa's hospital bed. He hadn't spoken in days, but I held his hand anyway. At one point he looked at me, smiled faintly, and said, "Don't forget the garden." It was the first thing he'd said all week. He passed around 10:15 p.m. I remember looking at the clock because the nurse came in to check his pulse and then quietly noted the time. We stayed another hour. When I got home, I sat in the dark and wrote down everything. The sound of the rain, the smell of the disinfectant, the exact words he said. I've reread that page so many times I could recite it from memory. That's why what happened last month has completely wrecked my sense of reality. A friend from college, Emma, texted me out of nowhere. "Hey, random, but were you at the Whitman wedding in 2019? I told her no. I didn't even know anyone with that name. She sent a photo. And there I was. I don't mean someone who looked vaguely like me. I mean me. My face, my smile, my hair color, even a small crescent-shaped scar under my right eye that I got from falling off my bike when I was 8. I was standing near the dance floor, holding a champagne glass, wearing a green dress I've never owned. The photo had a timestamp, September 14th, 2019, 10:09 p.m. The exact time I was sitting in a hospital room holding my grandfather's hand while he died. I told Emma it must be a lookalike. She said she thought so too, until she showed me another photo. This time, I was in the background of a group shot, talking to a woman whose face was half turned away. In the mirror behind them, you can see the reflection of a guy taking the picture, and me. Again, smiling directly at the camera. It's me. There's no question. I asked Emma how she got these. She said she'd been scrolling through an acquaintance's wedding album on Facebook because she was tagged in one of the photos, and she noticed me in the background. She sent me the link. The account belongs to someone named Laura Whitman. I don't know her. We don't have mutual friends. I clicked through the album. There were 6 photos with me in them. Always in the background, never looking at the camera, except for one. In that one, I'm standing near the bar, looking directly at whoever took the picture. My expression isn't right. It's not smiling. It's not neutral. It's something else. Like recognition. The lighting in the photo is strange. Everyone else is lit normally. Warm and golden, but the light on my face looks colder. Bluer. Like I'm under a different sky. I showed my mom. She looked at me, looked at the photo and said, "That's you." Then she said, "No, it can't be," in the same breath. She asked where I got it. I told her. She wouldn't look at it again. I don't know why, but I started to panic after that. I tried to find Laura Whitman's profile again later that night, but it was gone. Deleted. The link said content not available. I reverse image searched the photo. Nothing. I even tried some online facial recognition tools, but all they found were pictures of me, my real ones. Graduation, family, vacation. Never this. Here's where it gets worse. I remembered that Grandpa's last words were, "Don't forget the garden." He used to have this old-fashioned superstition that photos could trap a piece of your spirit if someone took one without you knowing. He refused to be in pictures for years because of it. He joked that every photo of him was a little ghost. I told my therapist about it, about the photos, the timing, the missing profile. She asked if I could have been dissociating that night. I told her no, that I remember every second. The smell, the sound, the texture of the blanket under my hand. She asked if anyone could have doctored the photo. But who would? Why? I'm not famous. I'm not even interesting. A few nights later, I printed one of the photos out, just to look at it physically. I pinned it above my desk and stared at it for days. That's when I noticed something I can't unsee. In the bar photo, the mirror behind me doesn't match the room. Everyone in front of the mirror is dancing under string lights, but the reflection shows a white ceiling with fluorescent panels. A hospital ceiling. Update. 4 weeks later. I wasn't going to update this, but something else happened. I went back to my mum's house to help her sort through some of Grandpa's old things. She's been trying to clean out the shed where he used to keep his gardening tools. It smelled like soil and rust and old wood. In one of the drawers, we found a small stack of Polaroids, rubber banded together. I expected garden photos, or maybe old family snapshots. The top one was me. Same green dress, same hair, same scar. I'm standing in Grandpa's garden, but it looks different. Overgrown, weeds everywhere, like no one had tended it for years. The date scribbled in his handwriting at the bottom, September 14, 2019. My mom dropped the stack. I picked up another photo. This one was blank, just light leaks and shadows. The next one showed part of a face, too close to the camera to make out. The last one was just dirt, like the lens had been pressed into the ground. I don't know what to do with them. I can't prove they're fake, but I can't accept that they're real either. I checked the back. No signs of manipulation, no reprints. Actual film. I took the photos home and put them in an envelope. Sometimes at night I hear a faint rustle from my desk, like paper shifting. But when I look, everything's still. Last night I had a dream that I was back in the hospital room. The rain was louder this time. I looked at the bed, but my grandfather wasn't there. There was a woman in a green dress instead, smiling, holding a Polaroid camera. When I woke up, my pillow smelled like soil. I checked the envelope. There's one more Polaroid now. It's a close-up of my face, eyes open, flash reflection in the pupils. The timestamp says tomorrow. That last line made my chest go cold. Burn the photos, the mirror showing the hospital ceiling. Jesus. That's the kind of detail that sticks in your brain forever. Your grandfather saying, "Don't forget the garden," feels like he knew something. Maybe he was protecting you in his own way. Could the timestamps have been altered? I work in digital forensics. Real Polaroids can't be faked that easily. Please lock those pictures somewhere safe, or destroy them, whichever feels right. You shouldn't have to look at a version of yourself that doesn't belong to you. Sometimes the past follows us in photos, other times it follows in sound. Our next story begins with a woman who keeps hearing her late husband's voice in the baby monitor, whispering words he never said when he was alive.